The first thing I noticed about the galactic choosing ceremony was that everyone looked expensive enough to pay taxes in three-star systems. The second thing I noticed was that I did not. My boots still carried gray dust from Dock Ring 7, my jacket smelled faintly of burned coolant, and the small repair drone floating beside my shoulder kept whispering, "Probability of humiliation, 92%. I told it to shut up, which made two jeweled ambassadors glance at me as if I had insulted their ancestors, their pets, and possibly their furniture. Above us, the transparent dome of the arena opened to the blue curve of Vera Prime. Thousands of anti-gravity lanterns drifted beneath the stars, each one projecting the sigil of a rejected suitor. There were hundreds of them: kings, admirals, warlords, poets, princes with hair so polished it could guide ships through fog. All had come for Lysera, the most famous unmarried woman in the Allied worlds, and all had left with their pride packed into emergency containers. Then she appeared. The arena forgot how to breathe. Lysera looked almost human, which somehow made her more unreal. She had warm silver eyes, a calm face shaped with impossible grace, and long, elegant ears rising through waves of dark hair, like the mark of some ancient star-born bloodline. Her gown shimmered with liquid light, reacting to her heartbeat in soft pulses of violet and blue. She did not walk like someone seeking approval. She walked like a moon deciding where the tide should go. The suitors stood in a shining line below her balcony. One flexed in golden armor. Another held a bouquet grown on a planet where flowers apparently screamed when picked. A third bowed so low I worried he might need a rescue crew. Lysera rejected them one by one. No. No. Absolutely not. The crowd gasped each time, then applauded with the cruel excitement of people watching someone else fall into a fountain. I leaned against a pillar at the back, chewing a cheap ration mint and wondering why I had paid 5 credits to witness aristocratic heartbreak. My drone rotated toward me and said, "Entertainment value increasing." Then Lysera stopped. Her gaze moved over the suitors, past the nobles, past the commanders, past the shining important people who looked born under better lighting. It crossed the crowd like a scanner beam. For one strange second, I felt it touch me. I looked behind myself. There was only a snack vendor, a bored child, and a security officer eating something on a stick. Lysera lifted her hand, her finger pointed directly at me. "I choose him," she said. The arena fell so silent I could hear my drone's cooling fan panic. I pointed at my own chest. "Me?" Her lips curved slightly. "Yes, you." The snack vendor dropped his tray. The child whispered, "That man, with the honesty only children and malfunctioning robots possess." Somewhere, a prince made a sound like a decorative vase being stepped on. My heart tried to leave my body through my throat. "Now there may be a clerical error," I called out. "I repair cargo lifts, badly, according to 3 supervisors." Lysera did not look away. "There is no error." The suitors exploded into protest. A warlord demanded proof. A diplomat accused me of illegal charm technology. My drone, traitorous little machine, scanned my face and announced, "No charm technology detected." Lysera raised her hand, and the entire arena's sound dampeners activated with a deep crystalline hum. Even the angry nobles became silent statues beneath the artificial stars. "I rejected hundreds," she said, voice carrying through every speaker, "because I was waiting for one." Her eyes remained fixed on mine, and beneath their calm, I saw something older than ceremony, older than fame, recognition. "A promise was made long ago," she continued. "Today, I have finally found the person it belongs to." I wanted to laugh. I wanted to run. Mostly, I wanted my heart to stop behaving like a trapped engine piston. Around me, the galaxy stared, and Lysera, the woman no one could win, looked at me as if I had arrived exactly on time. The moment Lysera chose me, the arena stopped being a ceremony and became a natural disaster wearing jewelry. Guards in silver armor surrounded me so quickly that I dropped my ration mint, which was tragic because it had been the best part of my evening. My repair drone floated beside my ear and whispered, "Escape route unavailable." Then, after a pause, it added, "Also, your left boot is untied. Thank you, I muttered. Very useful during political collapse. They led me through a corridor made of translucent crystal, while outside the walls, thousands of spectators shouted questions. Holographic news orbs zipped past like angry insects. One projected my face across the city with the headline, "Unknown Human Steals Galaxy's Most Unwanted Heart." I wanted to object to the wording, but honestly, I had bigger problems. Lysera walked beside me, calm as starlight. Up close, she seemed even more impossible. Her long ears rose elegantly through her dark hair, adorned with tiny silver rings that glimmered like captured moons. Her face carried the grace of someone trained never to reveal fear. But when she glanced at me, there was warmth there. Not amusement, not pity, something dangerously close to relief. "Are you always this quiet?" she asked. "I'm usually louder when I understand what crime I've committed." Her lips twitched. "You have committed no crime. Then why do the guards look prepared to recycle me? They look that way at everyone. It is considered polite here. The palace doors opened without being touched, recognizing her blood signature. Inside, gravity softened under my feet, turning every step lighter. The ceiling displayed moving constellations from worlds I had only seen on cheap station calendars. Servant machines glided silently across the floor, carrying crystal trays and pretending not to stare. One of them bumped into a pillar while looking at me. Lysera noticed. "Even the palace is curious. That makes two of us." She guided me into a private chamber overlooking the capital. Far below, floating traffic streamed between towers, and news banners flashed my name in 12 languages, 3 of which probably pronounced it as an insult. My drone connected to the public network before I could stop it. Trending phrases include, it said, "Who is that human? Is this legal? And he looks like he fixes toilets." "I fix cargo lifts," I snapped. Lysera gave a soft laugh. The sound surprised me. It was not royal or polished. It was real. Then her expression changed. She stepped closer and looked at the small metal pendant hanging from my neck, half hidden beneath my stained collar. It was an old thing, scratched and dull, a piece of salvage I had carried since childhood for reasons I could barely remember. "May I see that?" she asked. I touched it instinctively. "This? It's worthless." "No," she said quietly. "It is not." The room seemed to shrink around those words. Outside, ships crossed the violet sky, their engines leaving blue trails like wounds in the evening. Lysera's fingers hovered near the pendant but did not touch it, as if it were something sacred or dangerous. "Where did you get it?" she asked. I frowned. "A mining moon. Years ago. I think I found it near a wreck, or maybe someone gave it to me. My childhood memories are mostly hunger, dust, and making bad decisions with electrical wiring." Her eyes lifted to mine. "Did you ever help someone there?" "I helped lots of people, usually by accident. One time I repaired a heater and accidentally made it play funeral music for 6 hours. She smiled, but sadness moved behind it. "Think carefully." Before I could answer, the chamber doors burst open. 3 nobles entered with the confidence of people who had never been told a door was closed. The tallest one wore golden armor and a face polished by generations of arrogance. "Lady Lysera," he said, glaring at me, "the council demands an explanation. This human is nobody." I raised one finger. "Technically, I have a name." "No one asked you." "My drone did once, but only for warranty records." Lysera stepped between us. The air changed. The soft palace lights dimmed as if obeying her mood. Beneath her calm beauty, power stirred, ancient, cold, and precise. "You will not insult him in my presence," she said. The noble paled. So did I, which felt unfair because I had not insulted myself recently. He bowed stiffly. "Then explain why." Lysera's gaze returned to my pendant, then to my face. "Because the galaxy remembers crowns and victories," she said. "But I remember a promise made in darkness." The nobles fell silent. I swallowed. Somewhere deep inside me, a forgotten door began to open. Lysera did not answer the nobles in the chamber. Instead, she turned toward the northern wall and placed her palm against a surface that looked like glass, but reacted like living skin. Silver lines spread from her fingers, forming circles, symbols, and star maps that sank into the floor beneath us. The nobles stepped back. I stepped back too, mostly because the floor had begun humming under my boots, and my boots were not emotionally prepared for ancient technology. "What is this?" I asked. "A memory vault," Lysera said. My drone rotated slowly. "Warning, unknown device, probability of vaporization, unclear. That is not comforting. It was not designed to be. Lysera gave me a sideways glance, and for a moment, beneath all the royal tension, I saw the same small smile again. Then the room changed. The palace dissolved around us, replaced by a storm-dark sky, red dust, and the skeletal wreckage of an escape pod half buried in black stone. Cold wind moved through the illusion so realistically that I felt grit strike my face. Somewhere far away, mining sirens wailed like wounded animals. My chest tightened. I knew this place, not clearly, not as a memory with edges, more like a scar beneath the skin, a forgotten mining moon named Orvan 9, where the sun was weak, the water tasted metallic, and children learned early that hunger could be louder than thunder. In the hologram, a younger version of me crawled between twisted metal panels. I was thin, dirty, and holding a flickering repair lamp in one hand. My hair stuck up in every direction, as if even gravity had given up trying to discipline it. I stared at myself and whispered, "I looked terrible." Lysera said softly, "You looked brave." I looked like I had lost a fight with a ventilation fan. The nobles said nothing. Even the golden-armored one had stopped looking offended, which was impressive because his face seemed built for it. A faint sound came from inside the wreckage, a child crying. The younger me froze, then squeezed through a broken hatch. The hologram followed, showing the cramped interior where wires sparked and emergency lights blinked red. There, hidden beneath a torn thermal sheet, was a little alien girl with long ears pressed flat in fear, silver eyes wide, one arm bleeding through the sleeve of a ruined ceremonial dress. Lysera stood very still beside me. I looked from the child to her, and the air left my lungs. "No," I breathed. The younger me knelt awkwardly, clearly terrified but trying to look calm. "Hey," he said in the memory, "don't scream." I scream back when surprised, and then everyone screams, and it becomes embarrassing. The little girl stared at him. He offered her half of a ration bar, the kind so hard it could legally qualify as construction material. "Food?" She hesitated, then took it with trembling fingers. The memory shifted. Hours passed in fragments. Younger me dragged a metal panel across the hatch to hide the light from scavenger patrols. He wrapped the child's arm with a strip torn from his own jacket. He connected broken wires with a bent tool, and shocking amounts of confidence for someone who clearly had no idea what he was doing. At one point, a panel exploded in his face, and the little girl actually laughed. "There," younger me said, coughing smoke. "See? Entertainment and rescue. Premium service." Lysera's eyes shone, but she did not cry. Not yet. The final image appeared. Younger me placing the scratched pendant around the child's neck, then changing his mind when rescue lights flashed outside. The little girl pressed it back into his palm. "Remember me," she whispered, and younger me smiled. "Hard to forget someone who bites my hand during medical treatment." "I was frightened," Lysera murmured beside me. "I think you drew blood." I was very frightened. The vault faded, returning us to the chamber and the violet city beyond the windows. No one spoke. The nobles looked at me as if I had become a problem their education had not prepared them for. Lysera faced them at last. "This is why," she said. "Before any crown knew his name, he saved mine." My fingers closed around the pendant. It suddenly felt heavier than metal, heavier than memory, and somewhere inside me, the forgotten mining moon began to breathe again. After the memory vault closed, the chamber did not feel like a room anymore. It felt like the inside of a secret finally opened after 20 years, and everyone inside it was afraid to breathe too loudly. The nobles stared at Lysera, then at me, then at the old pendant in my hand, as if it had grown teeth. My drone, apparently deciding silence was dangerous, whispered, "Historical importance detected. Recommend standing straighter." "I am standing straighter," I muttered. "No." Lysera heard, and despite everything, smiled. That small smile unsettled the nobles more than any threat could have. Perhaps they had seen her reject armies, princes, and poets without blinking, but they had never seen her look at someone as if an old wound had finally stopped bleeding. The golden-armored noble recovered first. "A childhood rescue is touching," he said, though his voice had lost its sharpness. "But sentiment cannot decide the future of House Vile." Lysera turned to him. "Sentiment did not decide it. Memory did. Gratitude did. Choice did. The word choice struck the room like a bell. She led me away before more arguments could gather teeth. We walked through a corridor where the walls displayed living star maps, constellations blooming and fading with each step. Tiny courier drones zipped overhead, carrying council orders, scandal reports, and probably several recipes for how to roast me politically. Outside the tall windows, Vera Prime shone in dusk blue layers, its floating towers held aloft by gravity engines older than Earth's first cities. "You searched for me all this time?" I asked. "Yes." That is flattering and terrifying. It was not constant searching every hour of every day. Good. Some days I had wars, ceremonies, education, assassins, diplomacy, and one extremely stubborn dance instructor. That sounds busy. She once made me practice royal posture while our moon base was under attack. I respect her priorities. Lysera laughed softly, then grew quiet. But whenever I had freedom, I searched. Orvan 9 was erased from official records after the pirate raid. The rescue reports were damaged. I only remembered your voice, your eyes, and the ridiculous way you apologized to machines before repairing them. I winced. Machines have feelings. My drone rotated proudly. "Confirmed." "No, not confirmed," I said. We entered a balcony garden suspended above the city. Plants from 50 worlds glowed under the glass floor, their roots drinking blue light from energy streams below. Lysera stood beside a silver leaf tree and touched one branch. It folded toward her like a living hand. "When I was trapped in that pod," she said, "I was not Lady Lysera, not heir, not symbol, not prize for powerful families. I was a frightened child bleeding in the dark. You did not ask my name. You did not ask what reward waited for saving me. You simply stayed." I looked down at the city lights. I barely remember doing it. I remember enough for both of us. The honesty in her voice made jokes harder to reach, but I found one anyway, because panic needed somewhere to go. You know, most people repay old kindness with a thank you card. Maybe fruit. I considered fruit. Did you? No. I am terrible at small gestures. A laugh escaped me before I could stop it. She smiled again, and the distance between galaxy-famous noblewoman and dock mechanic became, for one brief breath, less impossible. Then alarms cut through the garden. Red warning glyphs flashed across the air. My drone shot upward. Unauthorized transmissions detected. Council networks breached. A holographic screen erupted above the balcony, showing my face beside accusations, fraud, manipulation, genetic disguise, emotional coercion. Across the capital, every public display began repeating the same message. The rejected suitors had moved faster than expected. Lysera's expression hardened, and the silver rings on her long ears glimmered as her pulse quickened. "They will try to make you look unworthy." I watched my own face flicker across the skyline, like a wanted criminal who had forgotten to dress nicely. To be fair, that picture is doing most of the work. She stepped close enough that the glowing garden reflected in her eyes. "Listen to me. They will demand tests. They will insult you. They will try to frighten you away. Are you trying to reassure me? Because the furniture seems less hostile. I am telling you the truth." The city roared below us, hungry for scandal. Lysera reached out and gently closed my fingers around the pendant. "Long ago," she said, "you stood beside me when I had nothing." Her voice softened. "Now let me stand beside you while the galaxy watches." The council called it a trial of worth, which sounded ancient and noble until I learned it was basically 7 angry rich people trying to embarrass me with better lighting. The Great Hall had transformed overnight into a circular testing arena, its floor made of black quantum glass, its ceiling filled with hovering judges, news drones, and one vendor selling hot spiral snails at a criminal price. Lysera stood beside the council throne, calm and radiant, her long ears adorned with silver rings, her eyes fixed on me as if I were not seconds away from becoming the galaxy's most public mistake. The first suitor stepped forward, a prince wearing armor, bright enough to blind satellites. The human must prove intelligence, courage, and dignity. My repair drone hovered near my shoulder. Dignity may be difficult, not helping. The first test appeared as a floating puzzle engine, hundreds of rotating alien symbols, each linked to a miniature gravity field. I was told to open the locked core without damaging it. The prince smiled like he had already written my obituary. I stared at the device, then recognized the smell of overheated stabilizers. "This isn't a sacred puzzle," I said. "It's a cargo regulator with decorative nonsense glued to it." the hall murmured. I pulled a wire, tapped the lower panel twice, and the core opened with a cheerful ping. Somewhere, an old maintenance robot applauded with a mop. The second test was courage. A holographic beast made of plasma and teeth charged toward me. I held my ground for 3 impressive seconds, then shouted, "Absolutely not!" and dove behind a pillar. The crowd gasped. The beast slammed into the pillar and dissolved, revealing that the real goal had been to avoid pointless heroics. Lysera covered her mouth, but I saw her laughing. The third test turned crueler. A rival competitor, one of the rejected nobles, was thrown into a gravity cage when his own equipment malfunctioned. The council expected me to continue toward the victory marker. Instead, I ran to the cage and forced open its control panel. Sparks bit my fingers. My drone screamed legal warnings. I ignored both, rewired the polarity, and dragged the noble free just before the field collapsed. He stared at me, humiliated and alive. "You saved me," he said. "Yes," I panted. "Please don't make it awkward. I'm very bad at emotional conversations." A ripple moved through the hall. The spectators had expected failure or arrogance, not a dock mechanic bleeding on the floor beside a man who had insulted him that morning. The final suitor rose, furious. "Kindness is not worthiness." Lysera's voice cut through the hall like a blade of light. "Then perhaps that is why none of you understood me." Silence followed. The council's central AI descended in a ring of blue fire, scanning the completed tests. Result: human candidate demonstrates adaptive intelligence, non-performative courage, and irrational compassion. Irrational? I asked. Statistically accurate. Rude, but fair. For the first time, applause began somewhere in the lower seats. It was small, uncertain, then spreading. Workers from the docks, palace servants, citizens watching from distant colony worlds, people who knew what it meant to survive without titles. The sound rose until even the nobles could not crush it beneath their silence. Lysera stepped down from the throne platform and came to me. The light from the quantum glass shimmered around her, turning her almost unreal again, except her smile was warm and very human. "You did not have to save him," she said. "I know. Why did you?" I looked at the noble, who was pretending not to cry, with the determination of a man losing badly. "Because he was trapped." Lysera's gaze softened, and the hall seemed to fade behind her. "That is exactly what you said 20 years ago." My throat tightened. Before I could answer, every screen in the arena suddenly flickered. The applause cracked into static. A distorted pirate emblem burned across the air, black against red. A mechanical voice whispered through the speakers, "The promise belongs to us." Lysera went still. My drone lowered beside me. New probability of humiliation, replaced by death. I sighed. "You really need better timing." The pirate emblem burned above the arena like an old wound reopening. For a heartbeat, no one moved, not even the nobles who usually treated silence as a personal enemy. Then the ceiling split with a scream of tortured metal, and black assault pods dropped through the shield dome, trailing red ion smoke. The council guards raised their plasma rifles, but half their weapons died in their hands, disabled by a pulse that smelled sharply of ozone and bad decisions. Lysera stepped in front of me before I could even pretend to be brave. Silver armor unfolded from the bracelets around her wrists, flowing over her gown in shining plates of living metal, her long ears angled back, the rings along them flashing with combat signals. In that moment, she no longer looked like the woman who had smiled in the garden. She looked like the reason pirates checked under their beds. "Stay behind me," she said. "I would argue," I replied, "but I enjoy breathing." My drone hovered between us. Combat assistance mode activated. "You have a combat mode?" "No. I am lying to improve morale." Pirates poured into the hall with magnetic boots and curved energy blades. Their leader emerged last, a scarred alien wrapped in black armor stitched with stolen royal codes. His helmet opened, revealing pale eyes and a smile without warmth. "Lady Lysera," he said. "The child from Orvan 9 finally found her little hero." Lysera's blade ignited in her hand, a narrow beam of blue-white force. "You should have stayed forgotten," he laughed. "We tried. Unfortunately, your sentimental ceremony made excellent advertising." The first wave attacked. Lysera moved like lightning given a body. Cooked their fracture. And arrogance with terrifying grace. I did what any ordinary human surrounded by murder professionals would do. I ducked, crawled behind the Council AI platform, and began ripping open the access panel. "What are you doing?" shouted the noble I had saved earlier. "Improvising." That is not a plan. It becomes a plan if we survive. The pirates had jammed the arena defenses, but their pulse had overloaded the old gravity regulators beneath the floor. Cargo lifts, palace platforms, anti-grav lanterns, different shapes, same stubborn personality. I knew stubborn machinery. I spoke its language, mostly through insults and mild threats. Sparks exploded near my face. My drone screamed, "Your eyebrows are at risk." They were never my best feature. Lysera fought backward toward me, blocking 3 blades at once. "Tell me you have something." "I have several things," I said. "Most are dangerous." "Choose the least suicidal." That removes several favorites. I crossed 2 cables, slammed my pendant against the regulator's cracked sensor, and the floor groaned. Suddenly, gravity flipped in half the arena. Pirates flew upward, crashing into the suspended judge platforms. One spun slowly past us, shouting threats while unable to stop rotating. A palace cleaning drone mistook him for floating trash and pursued him with heroic determination. The crowd, hiding behind shield barriers, actually cheered. The pirate leader snarled and fired a dark energy bolt at Lysera. She deflected it, but the impact threw her to one knee. I saw her armor flicker. For one cold second, she was not the legendary woman who had rejected hundreds. She was the frightened girl in the pod again, trapped while monsters came closer. Something in me moved before fear could stop it. I grabbed a fallen shield emitter, shoved myself between them, and activated it backward. The shield burst outward in a ridiculous orange bubble, swallowing me, Lysera, and 2 extremely confused pirates. One of them bumped against the inside wall like an angry fish in a bowl. Lysera stared at me. "Did you trap us with them?" Briefly. I'm optimistic under pressure. The emitter overloaded. I kicked it toward the pirate leader just as it burst. The shockwave hurled him across the hall and shattered the jamming field. Arena defenses awakened with a deep mechanical roar. Blue stun beams rained from the ceiling, dropping pirates one by one. When the last pirate fell, silence returned, shaking, stunned, alive. Lysera stood slowly, then turned to me. Her hand touched my burned sleeve. Her expression caught between fury and relief. "You stepped in front of me again," she whispered. I tried to smile. "Apparently, I have a theme." Behind us, my drone scanned the unconscious pirates. "Victory confirmed. Eyebrow damage minimal." The noble I had saved earlier looked at me, then bowed. Others followed, uncertain at first, then deeply. Lysera did not bow. She simply took my hand in front of the whole arena, as if the galaxy had finally stopped arguing long enough to understand. The next morning, the same arena that had nearly become my funeral was filled with flowers, repaired shields, and technicians arguing with cleaning drones that still wanted to classify unconscious pirates as large, recyclable waste. The pirate leader stood in a containment field before the council, his stolen codes exposed, his crimes from Orvin 9 finally pulled from buried archives. Families who had vanished on that mining moon were named aloud. Lysera listened without looking away. When the final sentence was given, she closed her eyes, not in victory, but in release. The council AI descended in a ring of pale blue light. Evidence confirms Lady Lysera's testimony. Human candidates' actions on Orvin 9 and during the arena assault satisfy all legal, moral, and ceremonial standards. I leaned toward my drone. Did it just call me acceptable? Generously. Wonderful. Put that on my grave. The nobles who had challenged me stood in uneasy rows. The golden-armored prince stepped forward first, his pride visibly fighting for its life. "Human," he said, "I misjudged you." "That's fair," I replied. "I also misjudged myself. I thought I was here for snacks." A few people laughed. Even the prince's mouth twitched, though he looked offended by his own face for doing it. Then he bowed, and one by one, the others followed. Not perfectly, not warmly, but honestly enough. Lysera came to my side, dressed no longer in ceremonial perfection, but in simple silver armor, its edges still scarred from battle. Her long ears rose, through her dark hair, silver rings catching the morning light. She looked like royalty, warrior, survivor, and the frightened child I had once protected, all at once. "You changed them," she said softly. "No, I answered, watching the workers, guards, nobles, and citizens standing together beneath the restored dome. I think you did. I mostly broke expensive equipment. 4 systems. 3.5. One was already making a suspicious noise. She laughed, and this time the whole arena heard it. The sound loosened something in the crowd. The ceremony resumed, but it no longer felt like a performance built for powerful families. It felt like a promise being returned to its rightful place. Lysera took my hand before the council throne. Years ago, in darkness, a boy who owned almost nothing gave me safety, food, and a reason to believe I would see the stars again. I spent my life rejecting those who wanted my crown, my bloodline, or my name. Today I choose the man who wanted none of those things. My throat tightened. I had entered the arena as a nobody hiding behind jokes and bad boots. Now, as billions watched from orbiting stations and distant colony worlds, I understood that being ordinary had never meant being worthless. I squeezed her hand. For the record, I still don't know how to be important. Lysera smiled. Good. Important people are exhausting. The council AI pulsed. Union recognized. Above us, anti-gravity lanterns rose into the open sky, no longer displaying rejected suitors, but the coordinates of Orvin 9 restored to the galactic map. A forgotten moon remembered, a lost child healed, a promise completed. My drone hovered proudly beside us. New probability, happiness. I looked at Lysera, at the woman who had searched the stars for a half-remembered boy, and smiled. How high? The drone paused. Unclear. My sensors are not designed for miracles. Lysera rested her head lightly against my shoulder as the crowd cheered, and for the first time in my life, I did not look behind me to see who the galaxy was applauding.